Hey guys, I'm Chiku from Chiku Study Corner and I'll be dealing with the part 6 of electrochemistry today. So without any further ado, let's get into the chapter. So now I'll be discussing about the determination of kappa of an electrolyte. Okay? If you haven't watched the previous parts, make sure you watch it and then continue watching because it's a continuity. So kappa, as told before, is equal to G into G star. Okay? That is G, we know G is what? The reciprocal of resistance. So 1 by R into G star. So if you have to find out kappa, if you have to determine kappa, what all should you determine? You have to determine the R and the G star. Okay. So we'll see first about how do you determine a resistance, the resistance of a electrolyte. So let's see. To determine the electric resistance of an electrolyte, what you do is you have to have a Wheatstone's bridge. So this is the Wheatstone's bridge. It is 4 arms and then it is connected by a key. Now the key is open and here there's a DC current for a normal Wheatstone's bridge. This is a normal Wheatstone's bridge. Now what did I tell? We have to determine the R value. How do you determine the R value? You remove one of the arms of what the Wheatstone's bridge and put the electrolyte there. So now the electrolyte is over here. This is the electrons, this is the conducting cell and this is the electrolyte. Okay. So now we've made a change over here. The next change is we have to have a AC current for determining this. So we given a AC current. Now when an AC current is given, a galvanometer will not work. A galvanometer requires what? Direct current for its function. So we will replace it by a headphone or a loudspeaker. Okay. So this is the changes that we have made in the Wheatstone's bridge for the determination. Now let's see what all are these arms. We'll name each arms. So this arm is R1, this is R2, this is R3 and this is R4. Okay. So now R1 is equal to variable resistant. Okay. Variable resistant. How do you represent a variable resistance? Just put an arrow. Okay. This is a variable resistance. And then what is R2? R2 is equal to an unknown resistance. Okay. And R3 and R4, they are known resistors. Okay, they are known resistors. We know they are fixed resistors. So now let's see how do you determine this. Okay. So now comes the significance of null point. What is a null point? Null point is it is when the current flows and this loudspeaker makes no sound. There is no variation in the sound. So that is a null point. So when the null point comes, the Wheatstone's bridge equation comes into practical. So let us see. So the Wheatstone's bridge, we know it is R1 by R2 is equal to R3 by R4. So we know R3 and R4 and we can adjust R2 accordingly. So we will find out, we can adjust R1 and we can find out R2. So we'll write the equation over here. R2 is taken up, R3 comes down, is equal to R1 into R4 divided by R3. So this is our equation. And then now we found out R, and we always know that when you take an electrolyte in the one arm, you take it as G star. You have a cell constant of the electrolyte as G star. Okay. So this is always G star. How do you determine G star? It is not by the equation L by A. L by A is not easy to find. So what do? Instead, you connect or you relate it to a known cell constant, that is KCl, and then you determine G star. Okay. So that is to talk about G star and resistance. If you find out both of them, then you can put that equation into practical. Kappa is equal to what? G into G star. We know G is 1 by R into G star. We got R, we got G star. Now equate it. Now you can get the value of kappa. So now we discussed about it. In the previous video I discussed about the resistance, resistivity, conductance and conductivity. Now we discussed about the fifth term, that is molar conductivity. Fifth one is molar conductivity. So molar conductivity is represented as, this is the representation of molar conductivity. This is lambda m. It's capital lambda. So we will see what is it. So molar conductivity is the conductance of 1 mole of the electrolyte. Okay. So it is related to kappa by, there is a relation to kappa for molar conductivity. So let's see. So molar conductivity is equal to what? Kappa into V. V is volume. Kappa we know. What is kappa? So kappa is conductivity. Also the lambda m is equal to kappa divided by molarity. So in this equation there is a variation when it comes to the difference in the SI units used for kappa. If kappa is equal to Siemens centimeter inverse, it has one kind of equation. If kappa is equal to Siemens meter inverse, it has another kind of equation. So we will see about Siemens centimeter inverse first. So now we'll be discussing about Siemens centimeter inverse, the case of that. So we know that molar conductivity is equal to kappa by m. So what is the SI unit of kappa? We've taken it as Siemens centimeter inverse. And what is it for molarity? Molarity is mole liter inverse. Okay. So this is inverse. We can take it in the top side because this is liter inverse. We'll take it to the top. So kappa is equal to, molar conductivity is equal to kappa, that is Siemens centimeter inverse, into liter divided by m, that is moles. Okay. And we know that liter, 1 liter is equal to 10 raised to 3 centimeter cube. Okay. We know that 1 liter is equal to 10 raised to 3 centimeter cube. So let us write it over here. That is kappa is equal to, molar conductivity is equal to kappa into Siemens centimeter inverse into liter. We will write as 10 raised to 3 centimeter cube. That is 10 raised to 3 centimeter cube divided by molarity into mole. So now we got that. Our equation is ready. Now we have to find out the the SI unit of molar conductivity also. So this equation will be simplified as kappa into 1000 divided by molarity. Okay. So we'll write the equation. So now we can see that we'll rub all these. This is our equation actually. Okay. Now we have to simplify this equation. So what is this? Siemens centimeter inverse and there is centimeter cube. So this becomes Siemens centimeter square mole inverse. So that is the SI unit of molar conductivity. Okay. When this is Siemens centimeter inverse. Okay. Now the second case is when the molar conductivity or kappa is taken as Siemens meter inverse. Let's see that. So variation of K or kappa and molar conductivity with dilution. We'll see about kappa first. Kappa is defined as the molar conductivity of 1 centimeter cube of an electrolyte. So, if the electrolyte was this much and the molar conductivity was some value, if water is added, the volume increases. What would happen when the volume increases? The particles over here would now spread to all portions. Then now when you take 1 centimeter cube, there is only lesser amount of ions, resulting in what? Decrease in conductivity. As dilution increases, this is dilution. As dilution is done, conductivity is decreased. Now it is the case of molar conductivity. To talk about molar conductivity, we know that molar conductivity is equal to kappa into V. Whatever you say, molar conductivity is the conductivity of 1 mole of electrolyte. So there is no change actually, because it's 1 mole is 1 mole. When you take, if it is in 1 centimeter cube, if there is 1 mole, or if it is in 1 meter cube, there is 1 mole. All the calculation is the same with delta, not delta M, molar conductivity, lambda M. So if this equation comes, we know as dilution, what happens when diluted, kappa decreases. So there is a decrease in kappa and there is increase in volume. So what will happen? You know that the volume increase is more than the decrease of kappa. So kappa decreases very little and the increase in volume is huger or bigger. So what would happen? That implies molar conductivity would increase with dilution. So the next one is Siemann meter inverse. So let's see that. So we know that molar conductance is equal to kappa by M. Kappa over here we've taken as Siemann meter inverse, okay? And molarity is usually mole liter inverse. So now what will we do? The same step as we will take this liter and we put it up. So that is kappa is equal to, molar conductance is equal to kappa Siemann meter inverse into liter divided by M, that is mole. So liter in meter is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 meter cube. Okay, it's 10 raised to minus 3 meter cube. So now we'll write it over here, we'll represent it here. So kappa Siemann meter inverse into 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to minus 3 meter cube. Okay, that is divided by M moles. So this is 10 raised to minus 3. Now we can put it down. This is 10 raised to minus 3 is 1 by 1000. So we'll write it here. Kappa Siemann meter inverse into meter cube. Now this 10 raised to 3 is going down. So meter cube divided by M, that is mole into 1000. Okay. This is our equation. So we will write it in the simplified form, that is K by M into 1000. So this is our equation. Now we have to find the SI units. So let us find the SI units. So what did I do in the last case? I read this now and I wrote this. Now we'll simplify this. So this is meter cube minus 1. So that is meter square. Siemann meter square mole inverse. So this is the value of molar, the SI unit of molar conductance when the value of, or the unit of kappa is Siemann meter inverse. So now we are discussing about the variation of lambda m, that is molar conductivity with concentration. So we know there is two types of concentrated, or there is two types of solutions, electrolytic solutions. That is strong electrolyte and weak electrolyte. So first we will discuss about strong electrolytes. So strong electrolytes. So you know that a strong electrolyte would dissociate under any concentration because it's a strong electrolyte. So as you dilute, what happens as dilution is done, there is lesser inter-ionic interactions between the ions. So what would happen? That will result in the free movement, or it will allow the free motion of these ions, resulting in increase in conductivity. So as dilution increases, there is more space, so there is lesser inter-ionic reaction, resulting in increase in conductivity. Now we learn about an equation by Debye, Huckel and Onsager. The equation is called as Debye, Huckel, Onsager equation. So we will write that. That is, molar conductance is equal to lambda 0 m minus a c raised to half. So this is the equation. So what is lambda 0 m? That is the molar conductance, molar conductivity at infinite dilution. Okay, at infinite dilution. So that is what is lambda 0 m. So now we will equate it with the straight line equation. So we know this is a raised to, this is a into c raised to half. So we can write this as mx, and this is minus c. Mx plus c is equal to y. So this is our straight line equation. Now for strong electrolytes, we will draw a graph that is with lambda m and concentration. Concentration at the x and y axis, because y is this and x is concentration. So we will draw. So it is lambda m over here, and over here it is c half. Now a graph is actually a small straight line. It's a little slanting, a little sloping. So it is something like this. Okay, and then how do you get this value? How do you get this value, molar conductivity at infinite dilution? That is, when you extrapolate the graph, this point is called as molar conductivity at infinite dilution, or this is called as zero concentration point. Okay, so this is the graph for variation of delta M with concentration for a strong electrolyte. Now we have to discuss about each terms, or each terms in the equation. So we wrote it as lambda m is equal to lambda 0 m minus a c half. So we know lambda m is molar conductivity at any concentration, okay? But lambda 0 m is molar conductance at zero concentration or infinite dilution. So that is this. Now A is, I'll talk about A later. Let's see. C is concentration of the solution. Now we have to see about the constant A. So A is a constant. This constant depends upon the electrolytic solution. So what is it? It depends on what? The type of electrolytic solution. So what do you mean by the type of electrolytic solution? After the dissociation, each cation and anion, that would represent the type. For example, NaCl. After dissociation, it becomes Na plus Cl minus. Okay, what is the value over here? 1 plus and 1 minus. implies this is 1:1. Whereas for we'll take CaCl2, that is Ca2 plus Cl minus. Okay, what would happen over here? This is 2:1. So both of these would have different values. So this will have A as one value, let's mark it as A dash, and this would have another value as A double dash. Okay, and that is like A would have the same value. The A value would be same for every electrolyte having the same, the same cationic and anionic ratios. So if 1:1 comes for another electrolyte also, the A value would be same. So that is to talk about the equation. Weak electrolyte. Upon dilution, what happens? On dilution, conductivity increases. Why? Because the ions or the dissociation without addition or without dilution is very less. When water is added or when it is diluted, there is an abrupt increase in the dissociation. As the number of ions, or after dissociation, anyway the number of ions will increase. As the number of ions increase rapidly, there is an abrupt increase in the conductivity. So let us see the graph of weak electrolyte. For a graph of weak electrolyte, let's plot the graph. The same C half is over here, M is over here. Okay, what is our equation? Delta M is equal to, not delta M, sorry, lambda M is equal to lambda 0 M minus A C half. We know that. So let's represent the graph. We know that the graph will be like this. There's an abrupt increase. Okay. So what is it? You can see that the concentration is parallel to the y-axis. So if you extrapolate it, you won't get the lambda 0 M value. Or what is the lambda 0 M? That is the molar conductivity at infinite dilution. You won't get it if you extrapolate the graph. There is an equation or there is a method known as Kohl-Rascher's law. We learned about that. Kohl-Rascher's law. So let's see what it states. Kohl-Rascher's law states that limiting molar conductance is equal to the sum of individual combinations of the cation and anion of the respective electrolyte. Okay, so this is the equation, general equation. Lambda 0 M AXBY, that's a electrolyte, an example of an electrolyte, is equal to X, this is small lambda written, okay, small lambda A raised to plus Y, because you write the positive one first. Okay, so this is plus Y into lambda B raised to X minus. So this is the equation. So we will see an example of CaCl2 in the equation form. So let's write lambda 0 M CaCl2 is equal to, first is we write this thing, no? Before that, is there any number or any number in the bottom? No. So you write it as lambda, this is Ca. What is the value of y over here? That is x is equal to 0 in this case, y is equal to 2. So we have to write y plus. So Ca2 plus what is over here? Now we have a 2 over here. So we will write it as 2 lambda Cl, and what is the value over here? It's 1. So it's Cl minus. So this is the equation, example of CaCl2. Okay, now we have some applications to learn. We learn about the applications in detail. Now we will discuss about the applications. So the first application is determination of that lambda 0 M of a weak electrolyte. So let's begin with an example. We will take the example of CH3COOH. So the first step what we have to do is we have to find 3 strong electrolytes. Okay. So with which we can find out their delta, and not delta, sorry, lambda 0 m value by extrapolating the graphs. So we will select 3 strong electrolytes. So the first step is selection of 3 strong electrolytes. So how will you select the electrolytes? The first one should have common cation. So the first one should have common. And the second one should have a common anion. The third one should be with the excess cation and anion. The excess ion combination. So this is the steps. So we will write it for CH3COOH. So you know what is the cation of CH3COOH? That is CH3COO. So we will have to find the strong electrolyte with CH3COO. Just think of it. First we will take CH3COONA. The second one is H. So that is, you can write it as HCl. And then the third one should be the combination of the excess one. Which all are the excess over here? This and this. So that is NaCl. Now what should we do? The next step is delta 0 m of CH3COOH is equal to, we will write it as delta 0 m only. That is, first we will write the value of this electron, then this and this. So we will split each of them. That is lambda 0, what is this? The value of CH3COO minus plus lambda 0 Na plus what happens? This is the first one. First one is complete. Now the second one plus what happens? Lambda 0 H plus lambda 0 Cl minus. We found out all of this. Now what did we do? We added the 1 and 2. If you take it in this order only, you can add 1 and 2. Okay. If you take the cation first, then anion, and then the combination, you can do it. 1 plus 2 minus 3 is the equation. So we did 1 plus 2. Now we have to do minus 3. So it is minus, what is it? Na. So that is lambda 0 Na plus lambda 0 Cl minus. So we know that if there is a minus, all of these will become minus. Sorry, over here I forgot to put a plus. Lambda 0 Na plus. So what will happen? When you open the bracket, this will become minus, this will become minus. So what is the conclusion? You will cut this with this, you will cut this with this. So you have got the lambda 0 value of this. Now when you add it, you get 0 m of CH3COOH is equal to lambda 0 CH3COO minus plus lambda 0 H plus. So we'll discuss about the second application now. So the second application is the calculation of degree of dissociation. So we learned that we can calculate lambda 0 m. So the degree of dissociation is represented by the letter alpha. So alpha is equal to lambda cm divided by lambda 0 m. We learned how to find lambda 0 m. Okay, we learned how to find lambda 0 m. So what is this? This is the molar conductivity at any concentration. At any concentration. So this is the second application. So the third application is calculation of K, that is the dissociation constant of a weak electrolyte. So we learned how to find the degree of dissociation and we learned how to find the lambda 0 m. So now we will discuss about K. So to find out K is equal to C alpha square divided by 1 minus alpha. What is C? C is concentration of the electrolyte. We learned what is this? This is the degree of dissociation, and if you found out the degree of dissociation, you can find out K. So this is the end of what is Kohlrausch's law. Now we have to learn about electrolysis. That's the last topic in the chapter. Let's see what it is. So electrolysis. What is electrolysis? Electrolysis is a process by which a chemical reaction is taken place with the help of an external voltage. So friends, that is all to talk about electrolysis. We've come to the end of today's session, that is, we've completed the whole chapter of electrochemistry. I hope you might have liked my video. If you liked it, please make sure you hit the like button, share my video, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to it. For any queries or if I have made any mistakes, please put it in the comment box below and I would be answering you. So, I would be uploading notes in my description. Please go download it and read it. So see you on my next video. Till then, bye bye.